Hi and welcome everyone. My camera just decided to show you my face a little bit earlier than I was planning to. So welcome to another YouTube Live on the Pinkfresh Studio channel. It's Kathleen here with you, and I have some inspiration with the new October release, Flourish and Glow, which will be released tomorrow at 9 a.m. CT. So this time we switched things up just a little bit. Normally we release things on Tuesdays, so they would be available as of, me starting this live, but this time you will have to be a little bit more patient. But tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. CT, the full release goes live. And we've already shared some sneak peeks on our Instagram. And of course, last week, Jody and Carissa went live with a sneak peek at one of our new washi tape product suites. So today I thought I would show you a different product suite to give you even more sneaks. And, the Peony Glow that Carissa and Jody used last week may not be the only washi product suite in this release. But since I've used washi in my last YouTube Live and you saw it in last week's YouTube Live, I decided to grab something else. And I thought I would focus on a new addition to our stencil and die only lineup. So before I get started, get into things, just a few housekeeping things as usual. Of course, we are always having some fun giveaways. So this time we are giving away 4 $50 gift cards, 2 for the people joining us live, entering comments in the chat, and then 2 for everyone joining or watching the replay. And all you have to do is for the live, just be active in the chat. Every time you enter something and every time you write something is another entry. And at the end of the session, Jody is going to randomly pick a winner. Yes, and it's Jody behind the scenes, I forgot to mention. So she will be helping me out with questions and anything else. And then for the replay, just leave a comment below the video letting us know that you're watching, maybe what your favorite part of this video was, whatever. And then you are entered to win one of the other 2 $50 gift cards. Now, next thing on my agenda, I just wanted to let you know, we sent out a newsletter earlier today that registration for our next Create and Connect event called Creative Passport is going to open next week on Thursday, October 30th. There was a little bit of an error in the newsletter. It said Friday, October 30th, but it's Thursday. So the date is correct, October 30th, as it says on this graphic. And you can, maybe Jody can pop in a link in the chat for you. And there you can already see the full product description with an explanation of the classes, the event itself, what will be included, all of the good stuff, and there you can sign up for restock notifications. It is not sold out, don't worry. It's just so that you can sign up and get notified once it's actually on sale. So if you're interested in joining us in the next Create and Connect event, I would highly recommend signing up for the restock notification so you don't miss out. And you can see the teacher lineup is pretty fantastic. Even I don't want to count myself in, but I mean, we have Dawn Wolfslegel. She's back creating. We have JC, we have Jennifer McGuire, and Janas Makula, and of course, Carissa Wiley. So lots of talented people. Okay, that was a lot. And then, as always, when you have a question, it would be really helpful if you could put the word question at the beginning in all caps, and then it's easy for Jody and myself to spot this in the chat and we can answer. Okay, I think that was it. Everything that I wanted to get off my chest before I get started. So this is what I grabbed for today. This is the Bloom Burst product suite. Now remember, these are products from the new release that goes live tomorrow, so I can't link them in the video description just yet. I will link them tomorrow. I added the names already, but of course they are not visible in the shop yet. So it's the Bloom Burst Stencil and Die Only product suite. So you have a 6-piece layering stencil set and a 1-piece die to create something like this, which is a really beautiful sort of like a floral tapestry. So it's one piece. All of the florals overlap each other. So you have one panel that you can use on your card, and it fills an A2 card beautifully. Or you can, of course, cut it up and use, just pieces of it. And then I also grabbed a new cover plate die called Floral Lattice. Carissa and Jody used the Diamond Lattice last week, which is one of my favorites. So I thought I would give you even more sneak peeks and maybe use a different one. Okay, so, and as I was kind of, preparing for today, I usually don't really prepare my cards in that I kind of plan them out, but sometimes I try to at least come up with a color scheme or, something like that. But this time I was struggling a little bit, so I thought maybe you can help me out. And maybe Jody can put up a poll, which color scheme you would like me to use for today's card. Do you want the one on the left that is more kind of pastel autumn, or do you want the bright, cheerful? It is a Christmas photo, but it's not going to be a Christmas card. But still, do you want the bright colors or do you want the autumn colors? So maybe Jody can put up a poll, and then you can help me figure that out. I saw a question: will you get a sneak peek again of the products of the next event? Yes. There will be an unboxing, as always, or at least as the past few times. Date and time will be announced. We will send out a newsletter. We will post on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere where you can find us. When exactly that is going to be, but yes, there will be an unboxing, either the day before registration or maybe on the day of registration. I'm not quite sure yet, but yes. You will get to see all the products that are included. If you want to see them, you can, of course, also go ahead and then, as soon as registration opens, sign up and just be surprised. Okay, let me see. So I see lots of autumn, bright autumn. It feels like you're pretty 50-50. This is not going to help. Yeah, this was not helpful, guys. But okay, Jody said bright is winning. So if that's the case, hold on, let me put back this one, and then let me just quickly. Oh yes, brights won with 55%. Okay, so we're gonna go with brights. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to start first, of course, by ink blending this Bloom Burst image. And I already have an A2 panel prepared here, just from some Hammermill cardstock, so perfect for ink blending. Question: what is the theme of the next cards class? So if you go to the product page, you get like all of the information. The event itself is called Creative Passport, which already gives you a hint. And it's kind of, a journey through different cultures. So the illustrations that we're going to use in the event are drew inspiration from different cultures all around the world. And I mean, there are only 6 classes, so of course we can't get inspiration from all of the cultures, but I think we picked some fun ones, and yeah. Okay, let me just quickly grab some inks that I think will work with this. And let me open up the photo for myself, so I can kind of see what colors I have to pick. Okay, so I see definitely some Raspberry Bliss. I see some Ocean Breeze, or it could be Mint. I see some, I would say, blue jay sapphire kind of colors, candy violet, and a little bit of ballet slipper in the upper. Hold on, let me add the image real quick for you so you can kind of compare what I'm pulling out here. I will not keep this image like up here the whole time, but just for you to see right now. Okay, so I have mint ocean breeze for this kind of leaf, the small one up there. I have blue jay and sapphire for the dark blue. I have ballet slipper, sparkling rose, raspberry bliss for the pinks, candy violet, and there is this fun kind of orangey, corally red in there. It's kind of a mix of, I would say, kind of passion fruit punch sort of thing. So let's see. So these are the colors I picked. I might not use them all. You know, I just grabbed a few. And then, of course, we can also bring in the gold accents. Okay, so let's get started. I think I will reserve like ocean breeze mint for the leaves, and then we'll do some flowers with blue jay sapphire, some with the pinks, and then also use some for the flower centers. That's kind of the idea, at least. Okay, let me zoom you in just a little bit more. Okay. Lucy said, never used fruit punch before the last Create and Connect. Now it's a new favorite. I'm glad to hear. I think I used it in one of my classes, and I think someone else did too. So let's start with the blues. And maybe, so what you can do, so this is stencil layer number 1. I cut my panel down to A2 size, and in the corners of these stencils, I'm not sure if my camera picks it up, you have these registration marks here. So you have these in all 4 corners, and you can use these to line them up with the corners of your A2 panel. Or you can cut your panel, make it even easier for yourself, cut your panel to the exact same size as the stencil, and then you know you only have to line up the stencil itself with the panel. And you could even use like a MISTI or something to push it into the corner and make lining it up even easier. So there's lots of tips and tricks, you know, how you can do this. Now, you can, this set can be used for really quick and easy cards. You can make your life very easy by simply using 1 color per layer, which the mock-up, for example, did. Or you could even do this with maybe like 4 colors in total. Use like a light blue, and then for the second layer, just do a heavy blend. Use a pink, second layer heavy blend, a different color for the flower centers, and then just a green for the leaves. And you would be done. You don't even need much more if you don't want to. But I think I'm going to try and do like a little bit of a, I don't want to do like ombre or rainbow, but have different colors for the florals on each layer. So I will do a little bit of blue, but I will also do some purple. And I'm using colors that when they mix, they still look nice together. So, you know, so that I don't have to clean my stencil, and that I get some colors overlapping, which can give a nice effect and give you a new or a different shade of some of the colors. I want the blue to be a little bit more intense. And you can start either with the first layer as your light layer, and then do a heavier blend on the second one, or the other way around. That's totally up to you. I'm going to do my first layer heavy, and you will see in a second why. And I want to give the purple just a little bit more of a pinkish shade. So I'm only going to tap my brush just a little bit on Raspberry Bliss and going over this just slightly. Now remember, you don't have to go crazy with the colors with this set. You can definitely get away with only using a few. But I felt like I'm going to try to incorporate, you know, different colors of my inspiration image. Now let's do just a little bit of sapphire. Such a nice color. Okay. I completely forgot to check for questions. So if you had a question and I didn't answer, then please just ask again. I'm not ignoring you. Jonah said, I need to invest in those blending brushes. Yes. I mean, you saw how quick it was to cover this whole stencil. It would have been even quicker if I only used one color, obviously. Okay. So now I can go in with stencil number 2. And these are the petals for the same flowers. So that you will see that there are 2 different shapes of flowers in this set. So you have the ones in blue on the mock-up with these pointy petals, and then you have the other ones that are more rounded. So I will reserve blue and purple for the pointy ones and then do the pinks with the others. And the reason why I did my heavy blend first is that now I can use my brush and use the rest of the ink that is on there. So I don't have to ink it up again. I might have to, but you know, I can see how far it takes me without inking it up. And then if I feel like I need more color, then I can ink it up again, but you know, that way I can kind of make the most of it and at the same time sort of, well, kind of clean my brushes, or you know, at least get rid of most of the ink that is still on there. Now if you want a more intense layer here, you can definitely ink it up again. So I'm trying to mimic the same sort of ink blending as before. So I have these ones in blue, and then I move to purple. And now I can do stencil 3. And this one doesn't have as many openings, as many flowers as the first 2 layers. So there's not that much variation that I can do, but I can try. Let me have a look at the inspiration image again for a second. Okay. So let's do Sparkling Rose first. You can always go darker, but if I go too dark right away, then it's a bit difficult. So I'm going to go over the openings with a little bit of Sparkling Rose first. And I still want to bring in like this fruit punch colors. So again, trying to split it up a little bit at least. And we will see if that works out. I have not tested this before, so you know, if it doesn't end up looking good, we will have to see what to make of it. Okay, so I want a little bit of some areas where the colors are fading into each other. So I'm using passion fruit right now. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna go over the passion fruit with fruit punch a little bit because I wanted this more orange, a bit more of an orange tone, not too red. Okay, so this is fruit punch. Let's do a little bit of raspberry bliss. I just can't resist raspberry bliss. Okay. And stencil number 4 for the other half of these flowers, or you know, the remaining petals of those flowers. And again, I'm first not inking my brush again. I'm first just using whatever is stuck on the brush. And if I need to, I can ink it up. But I think that's fine. I don't feel like I need to, but we will see. Okay, so these are the flowers for now. It doesn't look like too much, I know, but you know, remember that we still need to do the flower centers and leaves, and then we need to die cut them, which gives them some definition and some shape, sort of. Okay, now the flower centers. I'm not too sure on these. I'm not sure if I want to bring in yellow. I could as sort of for the gold, but I'm not too sure if I want to. So maybe I can try and use like the pinks where the blues are. I'm not sure if that's going to be too much. Let me have a look again. Let's see. I'm not so sure right now, to be honest. Maybe I'm going to do just a very light blending of ballet slipper first on all of them, because ballet slipper is very light. So if I end up not liking it or feeling like it's missing something, I can go over it with something else without it, you know, kind of mixing into a weird color, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do ballet slipper and then we will see. I mean, you could even do like full on sparkle mode and use some glitter paste, for example, for this stencil layer, excuse me, and do like white glitter paste. So it's not too overpowering, but still adds a little bit of something. I think that would look really fun too. But I mean, if you've watched my YouTube live before, you will know that I am not afraid of kind of taking risks, but I'm not a big fan of using glitter paste in a live session for an area this big because I'm just too impatient. Okay. So I will leave it, I will leave the flower centers like they are right now with ballet slipper, because I can always come back in and, you know, go over this and just replace the stencil and just try again with a different color. So let's do Ocean Breeze and Mint. And again, kind of fade from one into the other. So I'm going to start with Mint up here. Hold on. I'm going to go Mint to Ocean Breeze because Ocean Breeze is a little bit more blue. So I want this next to my purples and not next to the blue colors, the blue florals. And then the green, the Mint is a little bit more green. So I want this next to the majority of the blue flowers. I don't even know if that made sense. As I was saying it, I felt like it didn't make any sense at all. But we will see. And these colors go really nicely together. So you can even, and this is what I'm trying to show you here. If you feel like, I'm not sure if that color was the right choice, oftentimes you can just go over it again with a similar color that gives you just a different shade. And just, you know, salvage your ink blending with that. You don't have to start all over again most of the time. And I just decided, I think I'm just going to do like Ocean Breeze and Mint all over. So I'm just mixing them here and there. And my plan of doing this a little bit more lighter handed, as you can see, completely went out the window. Oh yes, good point. So Jody just said, please note this stencil is intended to have overlapping areas. That's why you see color in the open areas right now. Yes. So this is, first of all, our stencil and die only suites are designed so that they don't leave a white edge when you die cut them. You will see that in a moment. But especially this image, as you can see on the mock-up, you can see here that some areas are meant to overlap. So they do look kind of translucent. So keep that in mind when you are blending your inks, that you might not want to have certain colors mixing together, or if you do, you know, just be mindful of which colors you pick. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, now let's see. Let's see. Okay, certainly looks bright and a lot less pink than I first imagined. So I think, because, you know, the majority of my inspiration image was pink and not purple, I think I overdid it a little bit with the purple. And I mean, you know, you don't have to stick to your inspiration image 100%. You can just use it as a jumping off point. But I do want it to be a little bit more pink. And you could even go in and add some shading, you know, around the flower centers, but I'm not going to do that today. I did spend quite a bit of time already on this, more than I think you need for this set. And yes, I can sometimes be a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to the ink blending until I get exactly the tone or the shade I was going for. But so you will have to stick with me for a moment. I want some really intense raspberry bliss. There are 6 stencils in this set. 2 for every, so sorry, 4 flower layers, and then 1 for the flower centers and 1 for the leaves. I'm not sure about the centers, but I don't want them to be yellow. Maybe just some. Maybe just the larger ones. Let's do the larger ones in yellow and marigold. And I mean, you can tell I did not practice this. I did not plan everything out. So this is really just experimenting. I would not call myself a color scientist. Jody's making that up. So this is marigold. I'm using a 1/2-inch blending brush just to make sure that I don't, you know, go over any of the smaller circles that I don't want to ink. maybe just 1 or 2 so that I have it, you know, kind of evenly distributed across my panel, sort of. And then we will see. You know, once we die cut this, it also gets, like die cutting this gives it a different look as well. So, and I think, you know, sometimes you have an inspiration image or you have an idea in your mind, but then when you get going, it turns into something else. And sometimes you just have to embrace this. Okay, so the die, as I mentioned, is a one-piece die. So you, and this one, so most or a lot of our stencil and die only product suites have these alignment triangles that you can use to align your stencils and then also to align a die. But since this fills an A2 panel, as you can see, almost completely, there just isn't any room. And it's really not necessary because there are so many open spaces that can help you line this up. And there is a little bit of kind of wiggle room planned into this design. So even if you don't get it perfect, you know, you have a little bit of room. And even if you get a little bit of a white outline, I will show you what to do in a second. Okay, so let's see. So you can see sometimes it's a bit difficult to line this up without putting your head right in front of, or like right above. So you can see that I have a little bit of white here because I put my die just a bit too low, but you can see that it actually gives you a bit of a margin. You can see that there's, you know, a good millimeter or 2 that's cut off. So for those areas where I do end up with a bit of white showing, I can simply take, you know, depending on where in the image it is, if it's here on the corners or on the outside, you can just take your ink pad and swipe it along the edge. And if it's on the inside, give me a second. Oops. And if it's on the inside, you can take a small blending brush. Let's see. Just, you know, ink it up with the color you're going for and just go over these edges again. And no one will know. But honestly, if you take a little bit more time than I did when lining up your die, it's probably not even going to happen. Okay, so this is what we have right now. And you can see, I think it's really fun that you even get, like, even these small openings are cut out so that you have a bit more of an intricate die cut. Or you could also take like a colored pencil or whatever, you know. But again, just take your time and you don't have to do this. So let me just put this back on here and just clean up a little bit before I continue. Okay. Okay, just let me get the inks off my desk because I can already see them all falling off my desk. And almost done. And that's it. Okay, now we're good to go. Just checking if I missed any questions. Someone said, I wonder what color of card, Catherine said, I wonder what color of card base you will use. Well, to be honest, when it comes to card bases, I'm a little bit boring. I usually grab white. Sometimes I add a little bit of ink blending, but I do like white card base. But we will see. So I do have a white card base. I just grabbed it because I have some prepared. But I thought I wanted to see what different options I could show you how to use this. Because, I mean, you know, there's a pretty straightforward option of using this piece as it is and just putting it on a card base, either directly with some liquid adhesive or popping it up with some foam for a little bit of shadow, or you can cut it apart, you know, whatever you like. Or I'm going to give you a sneak peek at some of my cards. Or you can cut it apart into pieces. And here I die cut the center out of my panel and then use the center on a different card. So I get 2 cards more or less. And you can see here, I stuck pretty closely to the mock-up colors, wherever I put my, there. So I pretty much used the same colors as the mock-up, almost. And I did spend a little bit more time on shading. So you can go as detailed or as kind of, I don't want to say plain, but, you know, even, so that you don't do any shading as you want. And it gives you different effects. So that was just, you know, 2 of the cards that I made where I cut it up. But I did mention, and by the way, I think I will add some clear drops or glitter drops or whatever to some of the flower centers. So I'm not that concerned with what they look like right now. But I did want to show you one of the new cover plate dies. So as I said, Jody and Carissa used the diamond lattice last week. So I'm going to try and use the floral lattice. It looks like this when you die cut it. Or you can use it for dry embossing. I already die cut this from a white panel. And if you want, well, I can share this because we shared it yesterday on the Instagram channel account. On this card, which, by the way, another sneak peek for another stencil and die only product suite. But here you can see, if the camera picks it up, here I use the same cover plate die for dry embossing. So you get a much more subtle look. Okay. But that is one of the other stencil and die only product suites that I use on the other card. So I thought maybe I could again do a little bit of like cut it apart and maybe get 2 cards out of it, because I feel like, you know, putting it on this cover plate die is just too busy. It's, you know, neither one of them kind of gets to shine. So I thought maybe I can, brace yourselves, cut it apart. I'm going to place my, I'm going to place my floral panel exactly over the other one so that I get the exact same angles when cutting them, so that I can then combine them on a card. And I think that will make more sense in a second. So I'm kind of placing the panels at an angle. Brace yourselves. So now I have the same angle and I can combine the lower piece of my cover plate die with the upper piece of my florals and the other way around. So I could get 2 cards out of this with this sort of design. Or you can, you know, use it for even more different cards. You don't have to use all of that on 2. I see some of you are someone Anna says, doing that would terrify me. Why? It's just paper. You know, you can just do it again. If it doesn't end up looking like you wanted it to look, just try again. It's just paper. Oh yeah, I agree. Christine said would be beautiful in yellows on the larger flowers so they look like daisies. Absolutely. Or you can even leave some of them white and just add just a hint of like ballet slipper and then yellow on the inside. I think that would look great too. Okay. Okay. I'm just checking if I'm missing any questions. So you could even, let me grab, I just have like some glitter cardstock scraps left here. You could even just use one of these, put the glitter cardstock here, trim it, add your sentiment, and pretty much be done. You know, so that you don't have, it gives it a bit more of an, I don't know, like a bit more of an elegant look, a cleaner look when you don't use the full floral panel at once. But, you know, there are tons of options. So I thought maybe I could kind of, let's see, let's try something. So I have this idea of, I cut it at the wrong angle, because I thought maybe I could do like a half transparent thing where the flowers would stick out, but then the angle would need to go like this. And this doesn't look good. This doesn't either. Shoot. Shoot. Let's see. I have some, I think I ink blended this piece so many times with tons of different color combinations. So yeah, just to show you what I mean, I'm going to do it. So now I'm cutting it at a different, like going the other way. I think, I hope. Did I do it? Yeah. So that I could cut off the card here and have like a transparent piece over here. So that was what I was thinking. But then I wouldn't be able to use the ones that I just ink blended. Oh, the choices. So many choices. Yeah, through the power of video. Yeah, as I said, I've ink blended this piece quite a few times. So, you know. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we can do with the ones that I actually did ink blend just now. So what I'm thinking is maybe I could use half and half, and then add a sentiment, push them as, you know, push them apart a little bit, and then add a sentiment here, something like this. So maybe I can do that, but add some blending, ink blending to this one so it's not so white. I don't know where my mat went, so I will have to do with this. So right now I'm just using whatever is left on my Mint Ocean Breeze brush. And by the way, this cover plate die, you know, again, with so many, as with so many of the cover plate dies, you don't even need to do much. You could also just do, like, imagine this was still the full piece. Or actually, even this looks good. Add a piece of glitter cardstock behind it, especially for the holidays. Add a sentiment, a little bit of, you know, glitter drops, or maybe, you know, not glitter drops, but clear drops, and you could be done. So yeah. And I'm sorry if anyone gets annoyed if I jump around so much between things and like showing you or talking about other ideas. But sometimes I can get overexcited with all the different ideas that pop into my mind. So let's see if I like this. Nope, I don't. I think there needs to be a bigger contrast. So let's actually do the pink and purple to give it like a really bright, punchy contrast. And as I mentioned before, you can just blend over this. This is the Ocean Breeze and Mint. They are such light colors. You really don't need to start a new panel. So, you know, I think sometimes we feel like we have to start over when something isn't going the way we expected it to. But I really want to encourage you to just, you know, if you're already not happy with this piece, if you think you will end up throwing this away anyway, then you can just try inking over it. And if it still doesn't look good, you can still throw it away. Okay, so I'm just doing like Raspberry Bliss, Candy Violet together. Yes, I feel like this is what it needs. Okay, now I do want to have that kind of separation in between them. You could leave it like this and have something like glitter cardstock in between. But then, I mean, you could pop this on top as well. Again, different options. Now to have a bit of separation, I want to cut off just a little bit, but I need to keep the same angle. So trying to cut it as well as I can. We will see how that turns out. Like so. Let's see if that's already enough. I think I need a little bit more. Yeah. And again, trying to keep the same angle. Yeah, that's what I was going for. So the reason I don't want to cut from the bottom is that if I cut from the bottom, I cut into the design, if you know what I mean, because I would cut off some of these holes. So I would have some openings on the bottom edge. And if I cut the florals from sort of the top, I would have a straight line here, which I don't want. So that's why I cut them at an angle. Now I do have some white pieces die cut. I often do this to have this as a shadow layer if I want to stack things up, especially things like this. By the way, this is another idea. You could put your ink blended piece, like your half ink blended piece on top and just keep the rest white. Again, maybe the glitter cardstock or not. Put your sentiment on here and done. But we're going to go with this. I'm not going to do this with foam adhesive. I'm a big fan of foam adhesive, and I often torture myself with putting lots of small pieces on panels, but this time with this one, no, I'm not doing it. Okay, so this one I can just line up with my card base. And I do have a little bit of excess. I can just cut that off with some scissors. And by the way, I keep mentioning glitter cardstock, and I completely forgot to mention something else that I wanted to, is that we currently, until Thursday, 11:59 p.m. CT, we still have our holiday sparkle promo. So you get 30% off all sort of sparkly holiday color products, which includes glitter drops, clear drops, glitter drops, gems, glitter cardstock in metallics, in white, in holiday. There's also a holiday value pack. And even hot foil in holiday colors. So make sure you grab your favorites, because that's a pretty good deal with 30% off. Oh yeah, so Gail just said, now that the ink is dried, this lattice bottom looks pretty. Yeah, so keep in mind that with ink blending, or especially with our dye inks, sometimes the image can look a little bit splotchy, a little bit uneven. But once the ink has dried, it will even out. It will look a lot more like smoother. So even if you're a little bit skeptical at the beginning, trust the process. Now, I mentioned that I do love foam adhesive, and with this one, it's a little bit easier to add foam adhesive. And by the way, don't mind, hold on. You can see here that I just cut this from whatever sort of scrap cardstock, but since no one will see this back side, I don't mind that it's not completely white. I think there was a question. I don't know. I think I missed it. If Jody hasn't already answered, which I'm sure she has, then please just ask again. Only a few more. But I just can't not have dimension on my cards. Okay. So, and you know, if I had more time, I would probably add a few more foam pieces, but it's all good. It's all good. Just need to make sure that my Celebrate fits in here. I could have cut off a little bit more. Okay, I'm trying to cut it straight. If there was a question about the February event unboxing, I think there was, then yes, there will be an unboxing. I just don't have an exact date or time yet. So just keep your eyes open and follow us on social media and you will find out. Okay, now for my sentiment, as I said, I'm going to use one that fits in here. This is the Celebrate. This is not from a new product. This is actually from the Here For You sentiments. There's a press plate for different sentiments and a coordinating die. And a coordinating stamp, but I'm not sure if the stamp is in stock yet. Or still, sorry. So I'm just going to use this one. And this one was hot foiled with rose gold, which, you know, I would have preferred gold for this card, especially going with the inspiration image I had at the beginning, but I just don't have enough time to create another hot foiled sentiment right now, so we are just going to go with it. And that's what I mentioned quite a few times. Sometimes you just need to go with the flow. And I'm also really trying to use up all of those sentiments that I created at some point and have leftovers. So yeah. Now here's another tip. If you use these sort of foam dots or foam squares that come on these sheets, don't throw the rest away. You can just cut this apart and use on your projects as well. Hold on. Okay, so I'm trying to get this centered like so. And I'm sorry for the lighting. It's just, you know, it's already dark outside. It's 8 p.m. here, so I only have my artificial lights, which sometimes can kind of mess up the colors a little bit. Now let's see. Let's have a look at some glittery, sparkly things that we could add. So I did say in the beginning that we could mirror the gold from the inspiration image. But then again, since I have the rose gold, I don't think I want that. You know, if I had a gold sentiment, I would probably go for gold right now. But scratch that. What else can we do? These look nice. So these are the clear drops in amber, kind of an orangey yellow, very, very rich color. Need a larger one. Yeah, happy with that. Maybe one here. And one here. Oh, thank you everyone for saying that this came together nicely. You know, sometimes it's a bit nerve-wracking if you don't have like the exact, if you don't know what the card will look like once it's done, especially when just doing it live and lots of people are watching, while you are not sure if you will fail. But if you've watched any of my lives before, you will know I'm not afraid to just try and experiment. Okay, so this is what I ended up with. And hold on, let me just bring in the inspiration image again so you can kind of compare. I mean, it did take a little bit of a more purpley turn, and there's not that much of that sort of fruit punch color, but all in all, I think, you know, I think you can tell that there is some sort of inspiration, or there was some sort of inspiration drawn from this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and that you mark your calendars for tomorrow. At 9 a.m. CT, the full release goes live. And I think Jodie's going to randomly pick 2 winners in a moment. While she does, let me know if you have any questions about the release, the products, the card today, the February event. Make sure you sign up for the restock notification for the event so that you get notified as soon as registration opens. And hold on. Alyson, Aashiem, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, and Carolyn Gilbert. You are today's $50 gift card winners. Make sure to email customerservice@pinkfreshstudio.com to claim your prize. And then have fun shopping. And if you claim your prize like right now, I'm sure Jody will be super quick and you will probably have your gift card ready to shop tomorrow's release. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. And if you don't already, if that you follow us. And yeah, thanks so much. And I think next week it's going to be Carissa with you again. Take care, everyone. Bye.